Hello, my name is Hakon, and welcome back, friends, family, and all you fabulous fighting fantasy aficionados who might be watching this. Today, we are going into Deathtrap Dungeon for the second time as I'm playing this wonderful game book by Ian Livingstone, fighting fantasy game book number 6. And my last run into this dungeon was short, and I presume this is, well, it's sort of in the name of the book, isn't it? The title says it all. It says Deathtrap. That is the first word. You expect to find lots of death traps, and you expect not to survive this. So, with that in mind, I will try to avoid that again. Although, actually, I was just running straight into it last time. I knew it was going to be a trap, I just didn't know I was going to die from it. So, without too much further ado, I will get started again on my second run into the Deathtrap dungeon. I'll be right back. Right, so here we are. I've got my supplies ready, as I like calling it. Got my pens, pencil, paper, dice, and I actually noticed the dice sort of work together with the color scheme of the book rather well this time. That's my character sheet from last time. I will have to make a new one now. And my very small map, very small for now. It will get bigger. Now last time I went on the sort of right-hand route here, which seemed interesting, and this time I'm going to go left here, which will bring me back about here, and see what happens there as well. So it's all a bit of fun to explore. So first of all, skill, stamina, luck, potion, provisions. Starting with 10, starting with a potion of, well, stamina, I guess, because the thing is, if your other stats aren't that good, if your skill isn't that high, if your luck isn't that high, your stamina is going to be the one to suffer the most anyway. You still need stamina to get through it. Although, usually, because you have many death traps and insta-deaths, stamina isn't always, I mean, dying from stamina going down to 0 isn't necessarily what kills you in these books. Right, so, skill, 10. Stamina, 17. And luck, let's see, I'm not going to do 2. Okay, I'll do 8 luck. Not very survivable stats, but luck might not come into it that often. I don't know yet. So, right, let's get started. So, let's see. It's within, everything's within shot. Yep, good. Okay, so. Despite its name, Fang was an ordinary small town in the northern province of Chiang Mai. Situated on the banks of the River Kok, it made a convenient stopover for river traders and passengers throughout most of the year. A few barges, rafts, and sometimes even a large sailboat could usually be found moored at Fang. But all that was long ago, before the creation of the Trial of Champions. Now, once a year, the river is crammed with boats as people arrive from hundreds of miles around, hoping to witness the breaking of an ancient tradition in Fang and see a victor in the Trial of Champions. On the 1st of May each year, warriors and heroes come to Fang to face the test of their lives. Or their deaths, really, but survival is unlikely, yet many take the risk, for the prize is great. A purse of 10,000 gold pieces and the freedom of Chiang Mai forever. However, to become champion is no easy task. Some years ago, a powerful baron of Fang called Sukhumvit decided to bring attention to his town by creating the ultimate contest. With the help of the townspeople, he constructed a labyrinth deep in the hillside behind Fang, from which there was only one exit. Actually, I just noticed there, it says with the help of the townspeople. That means it would be possible, I would imagine, to get at least some inside information about parts of this dungeon if you knew who to talk to, I guess. Anyway, That's not part of this story, but I was just thinking that now when I read that. The labyrinth was filled with all kinds of deadly tricks and traps and loathsome monsters. Succumbit had designed it in meticulous detail so that anybody hoping to face its challenge would have to use their wits as well as weapon skill. When he was finally satisfied that all was complete, he put his labyrinth to the test. He picked 10 of his finest guards, and fully armed they marched into the labyrinth. They were never seen again. The tale of the ill-fated guards soon spread throughout the land, and it was then that Succumbit announced the first trial of champions. Messengers and news sheets carried his challenge, 10,000 gold pieces and the freedom of Chiang Mai forever, to any person surviving the perils of the labyrinth of Fang. The first year, 17 brave warriors attempted the walk, as it later came to be known. Not one reappeared. As the years passed and the trial of champions continued, it attracted more and more challengers and spectators. Fang prospered and would prepare itself months in advance for the spectacle it hosted each May. The town would be decorated, tents erected, dining halls built, musicians, dancers, fire eaters, illusionists, and every sort of entertainer hired, and entries registered from hopeful individuals intent on making the walk. The last week of April found the people of Fang and its visitors in wild celebration. Everybody sang, drank, danced, and laughed until day broke on 1st of May, when the town thronged to the gates of the labyrinth to watch the first challenger of the year step forward to face the trial of champions. Having seen one of Succumbit's challenges nailed to a tree, you decide that this year you will attempt the walk. For the last 5 years you have been attracted to it, not for the rewards, but for the simple fact that nobody has ever yet emerged victorious from the labyrinth. You intend to make this the year in which a champion is crowned. Gathering up a few belongings, you set off immediately. 2 days' walk takes you west to the coast, where you enter the cursed port Black Sand. Wasting no time in the city of thieves, you buy your passage on a small boat sailing north to where the River Cock meets the sea, and from there you take a raft upriver for 4 days until finally you arrive in Fang. The trial begins in 3 days' time, and the town is in an almost hysterical mood of excitement. You register your entry with the officials and are given a violet scarf to tie around your arm, informing everyone of your status. For 3 days you enjoy Fang's greatest hospitality and are treated like a demigod. During the long merriment you almost forget your purpose in Fang, but the evening before the trial the magnitude of the task ahead begins to dominate your thoughts. Later you are taken to a special guest house and shown to your room. There is a splendid 4-poster bed with satin sheets to help you rest, but there is little time left for sleep. Just before dawn, a trumpet call awakens you from vivid dreams of flaming pits and giant black spiders. Minutes later, there is a knock on your door, and a man's voice rings out saying, "Your challenge begins soon. Please be ready to leave in 10 minutes. Climb out of bed, walk over to the window, and open the shutters. Already people are thronging the streets, moving quietly through the morning mist. Spectators on their way to the labyrinth, no doubt, hoping to find good vantage points from which to watch the competitors. You turn away and walk over to a wooden table on which your trusty sword lies. You pick it up and cut the air with a mighty sweep, wondering what beasts its sharp edge may soon have to meet. And then you open the door into the corridor. A small man with slanted eyes greets you with a low bow as you emerge from your bedroom. "Please follow me," he says. He turns to his left and walks quickly towards the stairs at the end of the corridor. Leaving your guest house, he darts down narrow alleyways between houses, and you have to walk quickly to keep up with him. Soon you come into a wide dirt road lined with cheering crowds. And when they see your violet scarf, they cheer even louder and start showering you with flowers. The long shadows cast by the people in front of you shrink as the bright yellow sun rises higher in the morning sky. Standing there in front of the noisy and vibrant crowd, you feel strangely alone, aware of your coming ordeal. Suddenly you feel a tug on your shirt and see your small guide eagerly beckoning you to follow him. Ahead you see the looming hillside and the dark mouth of a tunnel disappearing into its inner depths. As you get closer, you notice 2 great stone pillars on either side of the tunnel entrance. The pillars are covered with ornate carvings, writhing serpents, demons, deities, each seeming to scream a silent warning to those who would pass beyond them. You see Baron Succumbit himself standing by the entrance, waiting to greet the contenders in the trial of champions. you count 5 others standing proudly in line. The violet scarves displayed for all to see. There are 2 bare-chested barbarians dressed in furs. They stand completely motionless, legs straight and slightly apart, arms thrust forward to rest on the hilts of their long, double-headed battle axes. That's so stereotypical, isn't it? Yeah. From fantasy artwork and stuff, that's how they stand. A sleek elven woman with golden hair and feline green eyes is adjusting the crossbelt of daggers wrapped around her leather tunic. Of the 2 remaining men, one is covered from head to foot in iron plate armor, with a plumed helmet and a crested shield. Excuse me. The other is cloaked in black robes, only his dark eyes showing between the swathes of his black face scarves. Long knives, a wire garrote, and other silent death weapons hang from his belt. The 5 contenders acknowledge your arrival with almost imperceptible nods of the head, and you turn to face the exultant crowd for the last time. Suddenly, hush falls over the crowd as Baron Succomet steps forward holding 6 bamboo sticks. You draw one from his outstretched hand and read the word 5th. Then the trial begins. The knight is first. He salutes the crowd before disappearing into the tunnel, and is followed half an hour later by the elf. Next goes a barbarian, and then the dark assassin. Now it is your turn to salute the crowd. Holding a violet scarf aloft, you take one final deep breath of cool, fresh air before turning to pass between the stone-pillared gateway into Succomet's corridors of power to face unknown perils on the walk through the mighty Baron's Deathtrap dungeon. I wouldn't call it corridors of power, though. That means something else entirely. But that's the wrong metaphor. Anyway, corridors of power. That's like parliament and government and stuff. Anyway. Right, so there we are, back again at the beginning. Right. Paragraph 1. The clamour of the excited spectators gradually fades behind you as you venture deep into the gloom of the cavern tunnel. Large crystals hang from the tunnel roof at 20-meter intervals, radiating a soft light, just enough for you to see your way. As your eyes gradually become accustomed to the near darkness, you begin to see movement all around. Spiders and beetles crawling up and down the chiseled walls disappear quickly into cracks and crevices as they sense your approach. Rats and mice scurry along the floor ahead of you. Droplets of water drip into small pools with an eerie plopping sound which echoes down the tunnel. The air is cold, moist, and dank. After walking slowly along the tunnel for about 5 minutes, you arrive at a stone table standing against the wall to your left. On it there are 6 boxes, one of which has your name painted on its lid. If you wish to open the box, turn to 270. If you prefer to continue walking north, turn to 66. So I'm opening the box because it doesn't do any harm. I'm getting 2 gold pieces from it. So, the lid of the box lifts off easily. Inside you find 2 gold pieces and a note written on a small piece of parchment. So I'm just starting with gold. Let's see, gold. And I'll just put 2 like so. A small piece of parchment addressed to you. After placing the gold in your pocket, you read the message which says, "Well done." At least you have the sense to stop and take advantage of the token of aid given to you. Now I can advise that you will need to find and use several items if you hope to pass triumphantly through my Deathtrap dungeon. Signed, Circumvent. Memorizing the advice on the note, you tear it into tiny pieces and continue north along the tunnel. Turn to 66. And that's another little thing, actually. It says that you take the parchment and you tear it into little pieces. Now, if any one of my viewers have ever seen parchment, and have you ever tried to tear parchment? Parchment is basically leather. And leather is notoriously hard to tear because it's got very interlocking, quite strong, slightly flexible strands of protein fibers. It is actually almost impossible to tear. Even if you had a little place to start tearing it, a little cut to tear it from. It is still really, really hard. So if you see it in movies ever, or you read it in books, that somebody takes a piece of parchment and tears it as if it was paper, that's just complete nonsense. It's a Hollywood thing. It doesn't work. So you can't tear parchment like that. You have to cut it. Anyway. Right. 66. After walking down the tunnel for a few minutes, you come to a junction. A white arrow painted on one wall points west. On the floor you can see wet footprints made by those who entered before you. It is hard to be sure, but it looks as though 3 of them followed the direction of the arrow, while 1 decided to go east. If you wish to head west, turn to 293. If you wish to head east, turn to 119. Now, last time I went east, and I found the person whose footprints went east. He died, actually, in a trap. And you get a piece of rope, basically. I think that's the main thing you can get from the eastern bit. Now, you come back to a place where you see the other footprints again, and none of those are gone, which means maybe the left bit is safer, but also you don't get the rope. So the big question is, what is there on the left branch that I might need later? I know that the rope is possible to use to climb a statue and get a giant emerald, which may or may not be useful later. But I don't know if that's the essential item or if what might be on the left branch is essential items. So I'm going to go left today. I don't expect to survive this journey today either, so I'm doing reconnaissance as well and mapping at the moment, trying to figure out where to go one day. Because at some point I will know what items I'll need, and at that point I hopefully will also know how to get them. So I can plan my route accordingly for my winning run, which eventually will come. So I will go west and turn to 293. Following the 3 sets of wet footprints along the west passage of the tunnel, you soon arrive at a junction. If you wish to continue west, following 2 sets of footprints, turn to 137. If you wish to head north, following the 3rd set of footprints, turn to 387. Okay, so we've got north 387 or west 137. Now, usually in these things, I thought I'd try the most roundabout way of getting to, because the whole thing is going northwards as usual. Might have the most things. I don't know. I'm going to continue west. I know they all managed to get past this bit, so. Walking along the tunnel, you are surprised to see a large iron bell hanging down from the ceiling. If you wish to ring the bell, turn to 220. If you'd rather walk around it and continue west, turn to 362. Okay. Now, so bell, that's a bit peculiar. So 220, ring bell. Now, a bell usually doesn't give you anything positive, does it? It just alerts someone to your presence that can then come and attack you. Then again, it might be a trap of some sort, where not ringing the bell will trigger the trap, and ringing the bell will disarm it. Well, I'm still being curious about these things. I'm going to ring the bell and see what happens. So I'm going to 220. Oh dear. A dull bong sounds from the bell like a death toll. Everything around you starts to vibrate and you grit your teeth as your head starts to shudder. Your whole body is trembling and you fall to the floor. You quiver and shake, writhing convulsively on the floor as the vibrations intensify. Lose 2 skill points and 2 stamina points. That's quite harsh, isn't it? So 2 skill and 2 stamina. Okay. You search desperately for a way of stopping the bell. Will you scream as loud as you can or try to deaden the bell with your boot? Deadening the bell with your boot sounds like a way to crush your foot. Screaming as loud as you can isn't a logical option at all. Also, why would you try to deaden the bell with your boot when you can do it with other things like your backpack? or what you're wearing. Anyway. Two options anyway. So I've got Scream or 346 Boot. And this was probably not a good idea at all. Let's see, -2 skill, -2 stamina. So I'm going to scream. Let's see what happens. Despite the terrible ringing sound in your ears, you hear footsteps coming down the tunnel. Your loud screams have attracted a tunnel guardian. So my screaming is what attracts the guardian, not the bell. I mean, seriously? That's funny. Okay. Standing over you is a hobgoblin. His face bears a sickly smile as he presses the point of his sword against your neck. You are unable to defend yourself and prevent the hobgoblin from running you through. Your adventure ends here. So, death. Okay, so that's 2 deaths, and of course this was quite early on, so I'm going to start over this time. So I'm going to go back to my save game, which means I'm going to go to, well, I'll just start from the beginning basically, and I'll do exactly the same until I get to the choice of what to do with the bell. So, okay. I should really roll for a new character as well, because it's not the same one. So I'll just do that and start over. So skill, stamina, 20, and luck. Okay, so a bit better this time. Potion of stamina, provisions, and I will have 2 gold pieces because I've already picked those up now. And then I go back to 137. And this is now technically my 3rd run, so there we are. Now that's actually quite a quick way to die, but of course it still doesn't beat my Caverns of the Snow Witch one, where I died on the 2nd paragraph, which I think is quite impressive. And it's quite a strong opponent you meet there as well. You meet a mammoth in the 2nd paragraph, and I didn't even have that bad stats, I think, at the time. Anyway. Walking along the tunnel, you are surprised to see a large iron bell hanging down from the ceiling, and you get proper deja vu, probably, because you're the, yeah. If you wish to ring the bell, turn to 220. If you would rather walk around it and continue west, turn to 362. I will walk around it, thank you very much, and go to 362. Okay, so. The tunnel veers sharply to the right and continues north for as far as you can see. You hear a tremendous commotion in the distance. Growling, and snarling and howling. You draw your sword and set off in the direction of the noise. Turn to 264. Okay, so 264. Okay. Ahead in the dim light you see 2 hobgoblins fighting, punching and kicking each other furiously. There is a leather bag lying on the floor, and it seems to be this that they are fighting over. Will you try to talk to them, attack them with your sword, or try to slip by them unnoticed? Well, if I talk to them, they are going to gang up on me, probably, before they continue fighting amongst themselves. If I attack them with your sword, I'm still going to be fighting both of them, probably. And if I try to slip by them, I will not get the bag, and I want the bag as well. I mean, 2 hobgoblins wanting the same bag, then. At least they can't both be wrong about the bag being worth having, surely. So, I'll just attack them, actually. I'll just attack them. I'm just gonna... The hobgoblins are unprepared for your attack, so see, if you talk to them now, they would have both been able to attack you back. And you're able to kill the first one before he can draw his sword. You turn to face the remaining hobgoblin, who snarls at you with hatred. So, oh, I forgot to write down the options there, just for making my map. So, I've got... Okay, so we've got 130 talk, 51 sneak. I'll just do sneak. And 51 attack. Okay, so now there's a fight. Right, so first fight, and this is my skill and stamina 12, 20. And the hobgoblin, is this out of shot now? Yeah, okay. Hobgoblin is 6, 5. Okay, so as usual, I just quickly run through how the combat works. You have a skill and stamina. Your opponents always have skill and stamina listed in the book. You take the skill of your opponent and you add 2 dice. So I roll 2 dice, that's a 7. Add that to the 6 of the hobgoblin, and that's an attack roll of 13, or attack score of 13. You do the same for yourself. I have a skill of 12. I add 2 dice, and that's 4, so that's a total of 16. And the one with the higher, or the lower rather, the one with the lower combat score gets 2 points of damage to their stamina. The stamina is reduced by 2. And excuse me. Right, so yes, so whoever has the lowest combat roll, combat score, takes 2 points of damage to their stamina, and then you start a new round and you do the same thing over again. So until somebody dies by their stamina being reduced to 0. Now, it's also possible to use lock in combat, but the thing is, in the Warlock of Firetop Mountain, the lock points were just scattered all over the place, and it really made sense to use lock in combat. In most of the other books, or I think in every other book that I've seen so far, your lock points are more scarce, and you do want to keep them for... The thing about using lock is every time you use lock, it goes down by 1, regardless of whether you're successful or not. Which means that it's very critical to save it for the moments when it is a life and death lock roll. And they do have those in most of the books as well, where testing your luck means the difference between living and dying. And you do not want to have used your luck rolls in combat, needlessly at least, if that is the case. The only time you would use luck in combat is if it's really just the little thing you need to put the just get the advantage in your corner to win the battle or to avoid dying. So right, so first round was mine, and he's down to 3 hit points, down from 5. So I'm doing the next one. He rolls a 9, I roll an 8, so he is down to 1. Because I got a 6-point advantage now, it's quite easy for me to do this. He rolls 11, which means I need to roll 5 or better. He rolled 4, so he actually manages to get 1 in on this me as well. He rolls a 6, and I roll a 10, and he is dead. So there we are. And my stamina is down to 18. So I win, and I go to paragraph 9. So let's see, there we are, 9. The hobgoblins have nothing of any use to you on them, so you decide to open the bag on the floor. Inside you find a corked earthenware jug. You uncork it and sniff the liquid inside. It smells sharp and acrid. If you wish to drink some of the liquid, turn to 158. If you wish to dip a piece of cloth in it, turn to 375. Now, dipping a cloth does seem a little bit safer than drinking it, and usually with liquids in these fighting fantasy books, the only option is drink it or leave it. So, dipping cloth in it is an interesting option. So 375 or 158 drink or dip. I'm going to try to dip a piece of cloth in it just to see what happens. Excuse me. Bit of mucus at the back of my throat that needs clearing. Acrid smoke rises from the jug as you lower the cloth into it. The liquid is unmistakably acid. Good thing I didn't drink it then. You recork the jug and place it in your backpack, hoping it may be of use later. So now I've got a bottle of acid. That sounds very useful, actually. You sheathe your sword and press on northwards. Turn to 110. Also, it's very hardly ever that it says that you sheathe your sword in these books. Right, so 10 north. Okay. The tunnel soon takes another sharp right turn. Following it east, you arrive at a strange obstruction. A line, I suppose strange obstructions are traps, aren't they? Very often in this case. A line of 12 wooden poles across the tunnel. They are fixed to the walls about half a meter off the floor and spaced a meter apart. Okay. Half meter off the floor. Okay. We just step between the poles. Turn to 58. Wish to walk across the top of the poles. Turn to 223. Okay. 12 wooden poles. It's a bizarre looking thing. Now I wonder what is the right thing to do. Right, so between top 223 top. I'm gonna walk across the top of the poles. See what happens. You step confidently onto the first pole and stride across to the next. As you land on the third pole, it immediately releases a shower of sharp splinters, each several centimeters long. Lose 2 lock points. They fly out in all directions at great speed, and you cannot avoid being hit. So let's see, locks down to 9. Roll 2 dice for the number of splinters that sink into your flesh. Okay, so well, that's pretty good then. Each one reduces stamina by 1 point, so my stamina is then 16. If you're still alive, you manage to scramble over the remaining poles and sit down to the painful task of removing the splinters from your body. After resting for a while, you set off east again. So, okay. So I'm not sure if that's the best one or not, but I mean, the thing is about this dungeon is that the best option in the trap might actually still be risky, I imagine. So let's see, luck -2 and stamina -1d6. That's 1 6-sided die. And then I set off again to 313. Okay, I'll just do that up there. Of course, now I don't know where we are in relation to this bit here or here. So we've got a few other bits to map out eventually if I don't survive this. So 313. Okay. The tunnel ends at a junction. The footprints you have been following turn north and you decide to stay with them. Turn to 32. So, okay, so maybe this is where the... Oops, that's the wrong color. I don't want red unless it's something I know to avoid. 32. And that is a junction, which means this is where the path comes from the south, I presume. And so we are north. Okay. So the only thing, okay, so far we have acid on this branch. There might be something else on this one, and you get a rope on this branch. A rope, acid, something else maybe. Yeah. You soon come to another junction in the tunnel. One branch leads east, but the wet footprints you have been following continue north, and you decide to follow their trail. Turn to 37, and this is right over there. Okay, so there we are, 37. Now I'm back on my old map now. The passage opens out into a wide cavern, which is darker but much drier. Ahead, you see the footprints gradually fade, then disappear. There is a large idol in the center of the cavern, standing approximately 6 meters high. It has jeweled eyes, each as big as your fist. There are 2 giant stuffed bird-like creatures standing on either side of the idol. If you wish to climb the idol to take the jewels, turn to 351. If you wish to walk through the cavern to the tunnel in the opposite wall, turn to 239. Now, of course, I've done this before, but I'll have a look at this again, because last time you were given the choice just to say, do you have a rope or not? I'll just have a look just to see what happens if you don't have a rope, if you're given any other options, or if that's just the end of it. So I wish to climb the idol to take the jewels. So I'm going to go to 351 and see that. The idol is very smooth and will be difficult to climb. It says difficult, not impossible. Do you have any rope? If you do, turn to 396. If you do not, turn to 186. So I don't have the rope, and I go to 186. Slowly and carefully you begin to climb the idol. You are about to grab hold of its large ear when suddenly your foot slips. Test your luck. Which is now down to 9 because I've been a bit unlucky. So 9, yeah, that's exactly what I need. It's down to 8 and I was successful. And that is test luck, which means the rope may not be as essential as, for instance, the acid might be. So that remains to be seen, because so far the only thing I know the rope can be used for is to climb the statue safely. But if it only saves you a luck roll, that may not be an essential item. So so let's see, test luck. So 358 unlucky, or 260 lucky. Okay, so 260 it is. You just managed to grab the idol's earlobe and regain your footing. You scramble over its face and sit down on the bridge of its nose. You draw your sword and consider which jeweled eye to prize out first. If you wish to prize out the left eye, turn to 166. If you wish to prize out the right, turn to 140. Excuse me. Now I notice that the paragraph numbers are not the same, which is interesting. The paragraph numbers are different for the left and the right eye now than they were when you climbed with the rope. Okay. I'm not sure if that's a good thing or a bad thing, but I know the right eye is, well, unless they've changed it now, let's say left eye 166. Or maybe something else happens then. Okay. Suppose it... yes, they are different because... well, it is different in the sense that your combat with the birds will be different now because of the fact that you don't have a rope. You are even more disadvantaged and actually likely to fall down. Anyway, I'm going to go for the left eye. 166. Yes, here is the difference. As you touch the emerald eye of the idol, you hear a creaking sound below you. Looking down, you are shocked to see the 2 stuffed birds taking flight. Their wings flap in jerky movements, but they are soon above you and look set to attack. Fight the flying guardians one at a time, but reduce your skill by 3 during this combat because of your restricted position. I think in the other one it was you restricted you reduced your skill by 2. So that is the difference. So that means whether you choose the left or the right eye, you actually have to do the combat before you get to see the result, which means if you pick the right eye, you are going to die, of course, but you have to fight these guys first, and then you get the result of trying to get that eye. So this is going to be a tricky combat. So my skill is, well, actually it's 12, yeah, so 12, 16. I should have eaten something, shouldn't I? And I fight them one at a time, so a 7, 8 first, followed by an 8, 8. Okay, so the first one I have a skill advantage of 5. So he rolls a 10, I roll a 6, that is a hit. He rolls a 7, I roll a 9, he is 10, 5, that's a draw. 7, 11, he's down to 2 hit points. 7, 12, critical hit. No such thing, unfortunately. It would have been fun, though. Second one, I got a 4-point skill advantage. He rolls an 8. I roll a 7. He's down to 6. He rolls a 10. I roll a 5. That means he hits me. I'm down to 14. He rolls 6. I roll 4. He's down to 4 hit points. He rolls a 9. I roll a 7. He's down to 2 hit points. And finally, he rolls a 2 and I roll a 6. And he's down to 0. And I have 14 stamina left. And should probably eat something. I'm eating a ration, a provision. Down there, I'm up to 18 stamina. Okay. So I won and go to 11. And there's just also a different paragraph from winning the other time. It's interesting. Ah, yes, of course, because it leads you to the other one, which would be maybe different, yeah. You look down and see the crumpled bodies of the flying guardians lying motionless on the floor. You start to prise out the idol's emerald eye with the tip of your sword. At last it comes free and you are surprised by its weight. Hoping that it may be of use later, you put it in your backpack. So I've got the emerald eye. If you now wish to prise out the right eye, turn to 140. If you would rather climb down the idol, turn to 46. I think I'll want to climb down this time. Thank you very much. Let's do that here then. 46. Climb. You lower yourself carefully down the idol and, wasting no more time in the cavern, run forward to the tunnel in the northern wall. Turn to 239. So we go all the way over there. And then I'm actually past the bit I was last time. So far, success. I managed to get the emerald eye. I didn't need the rope, although maybe I need it later. And I got a bottle of acid. So, yeah. Well, I'm a little bit down on my luck, but that's all right. Not much farther down the tunnel, you come to a closed door on your left. Putting your ear to the door, you listen intently but hear nothing. If you wish to open the door, turn to 102. Wish to keep walking north, turn to 344. So 344 north and 102 door. I will open the door, of course. It's one of the most satisfying things in dungeon crawls, isn't it? Opening all the doors and finding out what's on the other side. You enter a room which is small and completely empty. As soon as you're inside, the door slams shut behind you. Suddenly a voice booms out of nowhere shouting, "Welcome to Deathtrap Dungeon, the ingenious killer labyrinth of my master, adventurer. I trust you will pay your respects to my master by shouting out his name. Will you shout?" Hail Succumbit, or Succumbit is a worm. Yeah, well, the second option does sound a little bit stupid. Also, do you have any reason to think he's a worm? I mean, really, you went there to freely. You want to win his 10,000 gold pieces. Why would you insult him? It doesn't make any sense. It's, yeah, the options are, I think, a bit ridiculous there. Anyway. So obviously I'm going to say Hail Succumbit. I'm not going to make any assumptions or claims that he is more useful for good soil in your garden. So let's see. Hail worm. Okay. Once again, the mysterious voice calls out, only this time its tone is full of contempt and derision. Oh, well, maybe I should have said he was a worm then. So we have a snivelling weed in our midst, do we? Sneers the voice. My master has a special gift for you, loathsome creep. Suddenly water starts pouring into the room through a hole in the ceiling, soon rises above your ankles, and there is no apparent way of escape. You wade back to the door. It is firmly locked, but in desperation you try ramming it with your shoulder. Roll 2 dice. The total is the same as or less than your skill, 10 to 178, and this is why I don't always like having 12 skill, because now these things are too easy in a way. So test skill. So I'm rolling 2 dice and I have to get 12. Yeah. Okay. So 178 success and 17 fail. Okay. I presume if you fail that skill roll, that's you. That's the end of you. You drown, and that's, yeah. Anyway, 178. The door cannot withstand the furious battering you are giving it. The center panel cracks and splinters, enabling you to kick a hole in it large enough for you to squeeze through. I mean, your sort of fantasy-style medieval doors, they don't have center panels. Just pointing it out now. Anyway. Wet but happy to have survived your ordeal is set off north again. Turn to 344. Okay. Right, so obviously I'm not going to go through that door again, so I may as well just have a little quick look and see what would have happened if I said he was a worm. Oh, okay. Maybe we'll go through the door again and say he's a worm then. Okay. So that is the wrong choice. Okay. The tunnel twists and turns but keeps steadily north. Ahead you see a thin shaft of blue light streaming down from the ceiling to the floor. It sparkles and shimmers, and you can see images of laughing faces in the light. If you wish to walk through the light, turn to 229. If you would rather walk around the light, turn to 107. Now, maybe these are the faces of the other people that walk through the light. Right. Let's see. So we've got 229 through or 107 around. I think I'll walk around the light. You come to an arched doorway set in the right-hand wall of the tunnel. The heavy stone door is closed, but there is an iron latch and a round handle. If you wish to try the door, turn to 168. If you instead wish to continue along the tunnel, turn to 267. So 267, so that's north, I guess, or 168 door. Well, I'm just going to keep trying all doors until I know which ones I should be going through later. So 168. Lifting the latch and pushing the heavy stone door open, you find yourself in the large cavern. The light is dim and murky, but as your eyes begin to adjust, you see that the walls are covered in green algae and running with moisture. The floor is strewn with straw. The atmosphere is warm, damp, and fetid. The soft humming sound fills the air. You step gingerly through the straw towards a corner of the cavern where there appears to be a shallow pit. Why did I go into the room? I just wanted to open the door. I didn't say I was going into the room. Anyway. Peering warily into the pit, you are disgusted to see a mass of pale, writhing worms, some as much as half a meter long. Utterly nauseated, you are about to turn away when you notice that their undulating bodies are swarming round a dagger, its point held fast in a crack in the pit floor. The hilt is cased in black leather studded with opals, and the blade is fashioned from a strange reddish-black burnished metal you have never seen before. You long to touch the dagger, but this would mean plunging your hand in among the writhing worms. Well, I suppose you could just chop them up first. Do you reach for the dagger or back away in disgust and leave the cavern? Now, why is there no secret option 3 here, which is quite the obvious thing? You just take your sword and you poke the worms until they're all dead. And then you pick up the thing. Anyway. No guts, no glory. I'm going to try this, of course. So, yes. So 267, leave, or reach, so 94 dagger. I mean, this is clearly a trap, surely. Must be. Anyway. Taking a deep breath, you lean over the pit and plunge your forearm into the mass of wriggling worms. They are cold and clammy and feel extremely nasty, but at least they are harmless, and you are able to seize a dagger by the hilt. You give it a hard tug, and it comes away from the crack in which the tip was embedded. Admiring its beauty and wondering whether it might once have belonged to some luckless contestant, you put the opal-studded dagger firmly in your belt and leave the cavern. Okay, so I got the dagger. It's a sort of Fear Factor kind of trap, isn't it? Is this the kind of stuff that the Fear Factor people they read and got inspired by when they made the show? I wonder. Anyway, so dagger, yes, plus. Okay, and leave the cabin to 174. Okay, so I just noticed that the leaving the cabin paragraph is different, so maybe something strange happens with the dagger. Maybe the dagger is cursed, maybe it starts killing you, etc. Anyway, whatever the case is, it is a different paragraph. Than the other one. 267, okay. 174. As you make your way back to the doorway, the buzzing sound increases in intensity, and you look around desperately to discover where it is coming from. Glancing up in the nick of time, you see the huge and grotesque black shape of a giant fly emerging from a recess high up in the cabin wall. As it gets closer, you realize that it is at least 1.5 meters long. Its opaque wings vibrate, making the sickening buzzing noise you can hear, and its 6 black hairy legs are poised to grasp your body. Below its multifaceted eyes is a long, shiny black proboscis. Proboscis or proboscis? Proboscis, I think. Yeah, anyway. Which darts in and out venomously. You have stolen the giant fly's treasure from her brood of maggots, and you must take the consequences. Test your luck. Right. Luck 8. 10. No luck. Okay. So... so lucky 39. Or unlucky 350. 350. Unlucky. So 350, unlucky. The giant fly dives down and seizes you with 4 of its legs. It climbs quickly back to the roof of the cavern, and you find yourself dangling helplessly in its grasp. Then, to your horror, it suddenly releases its grip, and you fall 10 meters to the floor, landing heavily. Roll 1 die and deduct a number from your stamina score. Okay, that's lucky with my rolls there again. If you're still alive, you draw your sword just in time as a giant fly swoops down to try and recapture you. Turn to 39. So 39. Okay, so you manage to evade the outstretched legs of the diving giant fly. Stepping back, you draw your sword and prepare to fight the hideous insect as it turns to attack you again. So there we are, giant fly. I've got now I've got 12, 17 I am at, and the giant fly has 7, 8. So I've got a 5-point skill advantage as I go into the combat. 3 rolls an 8, I roll an 11, he's down to 6 hit points. He rolls a 7, I roll a 6, he's down to 4 hit points. He rolls a 7, I roll a 6, he's down to 2 hit points, and he rolls a 10, I roll a 10, and the fly is dead. So, if you win turn to 11, you may escape. Yeah, so escaping is a possibility as well. Escaping, you always lose 1 combat round, and therefore 2 stamina points. Right, so I win, and I go to 111. You wipe the vile yellow slime from the blade of your sword and walk quickly to the door, back into the tunnel, and head north. Turn to 267. Okay. Thought a bit of a fly in the ointment there, literally. Right. The tunnel ends shortly at a junction. Looking left and right, you see a narrow passage disappearing into the dim distance. If you wish to head west, turn to 352. If we wish to go east, turn to 68. So now we have another major junction, I guess. So I'm going to do that up there. So east 68 or west 352. I'm going to start with the easternmost bit. You walk down the passage and soon find yourself standing at the edge of a deep, dark pit. The passage continues east on the other side of the pit. I think you could probably jump over the pit, but you are not sure. There is a rope hanging down from the ceiling over the center of the pit. Will you throw your shield over the pit and jump after it? Jump over the pit carrying all your possessions, or reach for the rope with your sword to enable you to swing across the pit? Now, I feel like there might be some luck involved in some of these options. I'm not liking any of them. I think what I would like is the this 4th option, which is to go back and turn left, which should have been an option here, by the way. Anyway, so we've got so 271 shields, 30 all, or rope 212 rope. Now, just the fact that the rope is there looks like it could be a trap. Jumping itself should be skill and not luck, though. I'm going to throw my shield over the pit and jump after it. So shields are heavy. So 271. I'm going to go 271. Just as you are about to release the shield and throw it over the pit, it slips from your fingers and rolls away. You are unable to catch it before it falls over the edge of the pit, clattering down its sides to the bottom. You lose... The loss of your shield reduces your fighting ability. Well, actually, it doesn't so much, but... my defensive... Okay, lose 1 skill point. Cursing your own clumsiness, you step forward, leap across the pit, and land safely on the other side. You waste no... I suppose maybe... having done that, it's easier to get across the pit, but I lose my shield, so it's safer to get across at the expense of 1 skill point. Oh well. Anyway, 1 skill. I've got 11 still. I'll be fine. And then we head off east, 237. Okay. 237 east. Okay. The tunnel makes a sudden left turn and continues north for as far as you can see. You soon arrive at a closed wooden door in the left-hand wall. If you wish to open the door, turn to 12. If you would rather keep going north, turn to 100. So let's see, north 100 or door 12. So I'll go do the door, of course. Okay. The door opens into a large candlelit room filled with the most extraordinarily lifelike statues of knights and warriors. Are they statues? Are they the actual knights and warriors that have been petrified in statue form? A white-haired old man dressed in tattered rags suddenly jumps out from behind one of the statues and starts to giggle. Though he looks like a fool, the sparkle in his eyes makes you think there is more to him than is apparent. In a high-pitched voice he says, "Oh good, another stone for my garden. I'm glad you have come to join your friends. Now I'm a fair man, and so I'll ask you a question. If you answer correctly, I'll let you go free, but if your answer is wrong, I'll turn you to stone." He starts to chuckle again, obviously pleased with your arrival. Will you wait for his question, attack him with your sword, or make a run for the door? Well, obviously his question is quite difficult, or the other ones made other foolish options there. So I think running for the door or attacking him probably will make you turn to stone right away. So I'm going to get his question. Okay. So 3 options. 382 question. 195 attack. And 250 run. So I'm gonna wait for his question. 382. The old man points at one of the statues, and you recognize it immediately. It is the knight who started the trial of champions. The agonized look on his face locked in stone for eternity. The old man smiles, saying, "This man weighs 100 pounds plus half his weight. How much does he weigh?" So, 100 pounds, obviously not right. 150 pounds, that's the obvious choice if you don't think about it, and 200 pounds, which is correct. Because if he weighs 200 pounds and half his weight is 100 pounds, so it's 100 plus 100. It's not that tricky, but if you don't think about it properly, you might think 150 because you add half to 100 plus half of 100. So it's a relatively easy riddle. So let's put the options there, even though I don't really need all of them, do I? So 200 pounds, 391, 200. Okay. Remember, we have 144, 100 pounds. or 227, 150, £50. Okay, so I'm saying is £200 and go to 391. Still smiling, the old man looks at you and says, "Well done, stranger. You have answered correctly. I wish you good fortune during the rest of the trial of champions, and to this end I shall increase your powers." He then mutters a few more unintelligible words, and you feel a powerful surge soar through your body. Okay. Add 1 to each of your skill, stamina, and luck scores. Okay, so skill 12, luck 8, and stamina 18. Okay. That's the correct one. No, that's not the correct one. I'll just put the red ones there. Okay, so this is the correct one, and then it's +1 skill, stat, luck. Okay. You bid the old man farewell and leave his room to continue north along the passage. Turn to 100. Okay, so okay. I think this is time for me to turn a new leaf. There we are. Okay. So I am on the right hand path here, so I'll put it a little bit off to the right. Put that 100 there. Just indicate there is a page turn there. I'll just do this. PTO. Just put my FF06 in the corner. Try not to mix up my maps later. One day I'll probably do an episode just showing off all the paperwork I've created with all the maps and the character sheets and stuff. I'm keeping all of them just for fun. So I'll do maybe I'll do a 400 subscriber special, turning to 400. Okay. Only a few meters further down the passage, you see another closed door in the left-hand wall. The letter X is scratched into its center panel. Putting your ear to the door, you listen intently but can hear nothing. If you wish to open the door, turn to 87. If you would rather keep walking north, turn to 217. Right. And again, center panels, that's modern carpentry. So, anyway. So, walking north. 217 door. I'll just put that on this side here. It feels a bit wrong putting the paragraph on the right hand side of my map, even though it's on the left hand side of the door. But the thing is, this is not a geographical map at all. I'm just semi geographical, I suppose. Anyway, open the door. 87. Of course, I'm going to open the door, even though the X probably means death here. The door opens into a large room. Turn to 381. Ah, yes. Dummy paragraph. Didn't expect to see any of those. That means that he didn't get to 400 in the normal way and he had to add something. Okay. 381. Let's put dummy. Just a future reference, because I find it quite fascinating when with dummy paragraphs and arrows and things. In one way, I think it's sort of a editorial defeat in a way when you do that. Anyway, you look around the room and see nothing of interest apart from an alcove in the west wall and a stone chair in the middle of the room. So you do see something of interest then. Sitting in the chair is a skeleton of an armed warrior, possibly a contestant from years gone by. That's a very pretty picture, by the way. I really like that one. That is exquisite work. The skeletal fingers of his right hand are gripped around a piece of parchment. If you wish to take the parchment from the skeleton, turn to 331. If you would rather walk over to the alcove, turn to 128. I'm going to take the piece of parchment. It's probably going to get up and attack me or something, but I will take it. We're going to start with the alcove. There might be something in the alcove that would attack me as well, so... Yeah, tricky choice that. Okay, so 331, 128, 128. The thing is, very often in these ones, you don't always get the option of doing both things. You get to do one, and then you have to move off for some reason. So, parchment. I'm going to go for the parchment first. That was my first reaction, really. So, touching the parchment has precisely the effect you had feared. The skeleton lurches forward and, rising from its chair in a series of jerky movements, raises its sword to strike you. By which time you should have actually been able to chop it quite a bit because you had feared it and you expected it. But lunging sideways, you draw your sword to defend yourself. Rookie mistake. You draw your sword, then you approach, you reach for the parchment. Anyway. Skeleton warrior, skill 8, stamina 6. Okay, so... So I am now at 1218 again, and 86, so I've got a 4 skill point advantage as we go into combat. He rolls an 8, I roll a 9, he's down to 4 hit points. I rolled a 7, he rolls... No, sorry, he rolls a 7, I rolled a 10, he's down to 2 hit points. He rolls a 6, I rolled a 7, he is dead again. And I win and go to 71. Oh, it just occurred to me, the parchment might actually be what killed him, so I should be a bit careful. Once again you reach for the parchment, only this time it is lying amidst a pile of broken bones. Unfolding it, you see a map of a room with a drawing of a hideous creature inside it. Beneath the monster is a rhyme which reads, "Should you meet the manticore, of its tail beware, shield yourself against the spikes flying through the air." Yeah, okay. You fold up the piece of parchment and put it in your backpack. Repeating the rhyme over and over to yourself, you walk across to the alcove, 128. So let's call it a hint there. Okay. At the back of the alcove are some steps leading down into a cellar. Cobwebs brush your face as you descend. Did I say I was going down? I'm going down, apparently. The cellar ceiling is quite low and the floor is strewn with rubbish and debris. In the middle of the wall opposite you is an archway which leads into another... In the middle of the wall opposite you is an archway which leads into another crystal-lit tunnel. There are large mushrooms growing on the rubbish to your right. If you wish to step through the archway, turn to 35. If you wish to stop to eat some of the mushrooms, turn to 233. Yeah, eating strange mushrooms is sometimes a good idea and sometimes it isn't. It could be lucky mushrooms, it could be lethal mushrooms. I'm not going to take my chances. I'll skip the mushrooms this time. 233 mushrooms or 35 archway. Okay, so I'm going to go through the archway in that case. The tunnel continues west for several hundred meters, finally ending at some... Oh, that's quite long. At some steps leading up to a closed trapdoor. You climb the steps slowly, hearing muffled voices above you. In the dim light, you can see that the trapdoor is not locked. If you wish to knock on the trapdoor, turn to 333. If you wish to burst through the trapdoor with your sword drawn, turn to 124. So 100 meters, that's quite far, which means that now it's possible that this trapdoor is in another location somewhere, over here, that one could have got to some other way. So we've got 3, 3, 3, knock, or 1, 2, 4, burst. I'm just going to burst through sword draw and see what happens. You throw the trapdoor open and run up the steps into a bright lantern-lit room. 2 goblins are sharpening their short swords on a stone set in the middle of the floor. You catch them momentarily off guard, but they quickly recover and both rush forward to attack you. So this is, both the goblins will have a separate attack on you in each attack round. So that's 2 at the same time. Let's see, goblins. Fight. I haven't been putting the fights on there, so fight. So I am at 12, 18 still. Goblin 5, 4, and 5, 5. Okay, so how this happens is I roll like there's 2 separate combats, but I can only injure one of them. So I'm going to start with the 5, 4, because he will die sooner, and therefore it increases my chances of winning the battle. Well, even though they're really good already. So I've got a 7-point skill advantage. So first goblin rolls, the one I'm fighting. He rolls a 9. And I roll a 9, so he is down 2. The other one rolls 7, and I roll a 5. So he doesn't do any damage to me, but I don't do any to him either. So second round, goblin rolls 11. I roll 3, which means I actually take, 18. Yes, 2 points of damage. Second goblin rolls a 7. I roll a 4, so nothing happens. Third round, he rolls a 7. I roll a 5, so the first goblin is dead. Second goblin rolls a 3, so nothing happens there. Next round, I can start injuring the other one. He rolls a 6. I roll a 12. He's down to 3. He rolls a 9. I roll a 4. He's down to 1. And finally, he rolls Snake Eyes and is dead because, well, there's no way you can for me to roll that low. Okay, so I win and I go to 81. Let's see, 81. The only furniture in the goblin's room is a table, 2 chairs, and a cupboard on the wall. There are 2 closed doors, one in the west wall and the other in the north wall. So I've got cupboard, 307. And then it's the door in the west, door to the north. So 2, 6, 3, west, door, 1, 3, 6, north door. So I'm going to try the cupboard first, of course. The cupboard contains a wooden mallet and 10 iron spikes, which you put in your backpack. So I've got mallet plus 10 spikes. There seem to be sort of spikes and mallets all over the place in these ones, but you don't very often get to use them. And now I get the option of which door to open. So mallet, spikes. Let's see. Right. North or west? I'll go north. Yeah, north. Why not? No, west. West, west, west. I'll go west. North, west. I'll go west. 263. The door opens into another tunnel. Walking west, you soon arrive at a door in the north wall. If you would wish to open the door, turn to 153. If you want to continue west, turn to 74. So I've got continue west, 74 west, and then it's door We can just put that one there actually. 153 door. Okay, so obviously I'm going to go with the door again. Because door rhymes with explore, so... The door opens into a small room in which there is a human skull with jeweled eyes resting on top of a marble plinth. A row of loaded crossbows is fixed to the left-hand wall, and 2 small wooden bowls lie on the floor just inside the door. Will you walk into the room and pick up the skull, throw a wooden ball at the skull from the doorway, close the door and continue west, taking the wooden balls with you? Right. Well, picking up the skull would sort of, you'd think that that would cause the crossbows to go off and kill you. I'm going to try throwing a wooden ball at the skull from the doorway. Although, is that too obvious? Would they have thought about that when they made the trap? They left the balls there on purpose, didn't they? I'll try it anyway. So there we are. So 390 skull, 371 ball. Oh, so I'm going to try throwing a ball. See what happens. 371. Take aim and hurl the wooden ball at the skull. Roll 2 dice. If the number is rolled so as to test skill. My skill is now 12, so that's an automatic, unfortunately. This paper keeps. There we are. So. So 113 fail, 273 success. Success doesn't mean a good outcome of any sort, though, necessarily. It just means you accomplished what you were trying to do. The wooden ball smashes into the skull, knocking it off the plinth and onto the floor. Much to your surprise, the crossbows do not release their deadly bolts. You step into the room cautiously and pick the skull up from the floor. You recognize the yellow jeweled eyes as topaz and eagerly pluck them from their sockets. You put them in your backpack, wondering whether or not a trap still awaits you in the room. So I've got 2 topaz. Would you get down on all fours and crawl out of the room holding the skull, or replace the skull on the plinth before leaving the room? That's a... okay. Unusual choice there. Okay, so... So 15 crawl, 204 replace. I'm going to do something probably foolish. I'm going to try to replace the skull on the plinth before leaving the room. Ah, yes. Okay. There is an unseen pressure plate on top of the plinth, and as soon as the skull is put back on it, the device is sprung. Immediately, the crossbows release a shower of bolts across the room. Test your luck. Okay, so luck 8. Roll a 7. We're fine. So that's probably not the right thing to do then. So test luck. Okay, 131. Lucky. 199. Unlucky. Okay. The crossbow bolts fly over your head and thud into the opposite wall. Fortunately, you are still crouching on the floor. Now that the trap has been sprung, you can leave the room by the door through which you entered. Back in the tunnel, you head on west, turn to 74. So, okay. The tunnel takes a sharp right turn and you find yourself in a sort of gallery lined with mirrors for some 20 meters. A human skeleton appears to be pulled halfway through the mirror along the right-hand wall. Suddenly, a grotesque being with 4 arms and 4 screaming faces emerges from the mirror, barring your way ahead. It walks slowly towards you, each arm outstretched to grab you. It is a mirror demon from another dimensional plane, come to take your spirit. Will you make a wish if you're wearing a ring of wishes? Right, so options are 3 options, okay. So 2, 6, 5 wish, 300 smash, or 327 attack. I suppose I'll just have to try to smash the mirrors. It seems the obvious thing to do as long as I find the right one to smash. Oh, they're smashable though. You swing your sword against the mirror with all your might, but to no effect. The mirror does not break, and the mirror demon keeps advancing. If you wish to try to smash the mirror again, turn to 141. If you would rather attack the mirror demon, turn to 327. Okay. So maybe they are unsmashable then. 141. Smash. I'll try again. See if it helps. The mirror demon is almost on top of you. When summoning all your strength, you strike one final blow against the mirror with your sword. Roll 2 dice against skill. So again, that is a success. Unfortunately, I would have liked to. I'll just roll that anyway. I would have made it regardless. So if you fail, so let's see. Smash. Again, test skill. And 72 success and 96 fail. So I managed to do that. The mirror shatters, sending fragments of glass flying everywhere. The mirror demon's 4 faces cry out in agony and cracks appear all over them. Then they too shatter and fall to the floor in a pile of broken glass. Unfortunately, you cut your sword arm badly while smashing the mirror. Although your strength is unaffected, your weapon skill is diminished. Lose 2 skill points before continuing your journey north. Turn to 122. Okay, so let's put that up here a bit. 122. Okay. In front of you are 2 flights of stone steps separated by a banister of rat skulls. You may climb either left-hand flight of steps or the right-hand flight of steps. So we have 176 lift stairs called rat stairs. 384. Right. Okay. Well, I don't have any indication of which side to go, I guess. I'll just go with the right-hand flight of stairs. The 4th step suddenly gives way under your weight. Your leg sinks into a deep hole, and before you have time to pull it out, you feel a pain in your foot as unseen sharp teeth sink into it. The high-pitched squeaking you hear below is being made by rats. They are starved and rip into your foot, hungry for your flesh. Lose 2 stamina points. 16. Oh, hang on. No, I got 16 already. I'm down at 14 now. There we are, 14. You regain your balance and manage to pull your leg out of the hole. 3 rats are still hanging onto your foot with their teeth. Kicking frantically, you smash their heads against the banister until they let go. And you then wrap crude bandages torn from your shirt around your bleeding foot and climb the steps to set off north again. Turn to 277, but of course by being bitten by rats I might have been infected with something now. I know that because that's one thing that Ian Livingstone did in what's it called again now? Freeway Fighter. Yes, Freeway Fighter. There's actually a really cool ending where as you manage to fulfill your quest and you're on your way back, and if you go in to sleep in a little sort of inn or motel or something for the night, you get bitten by a rat, and then just as you get to the outskirts of hometown, you actually die from the infection you got from the rat bite, which is a really cool ending, I think, and one which I forgot to show when I was doing my episodes on Freeway Fighter, which is a bit of a shame because I should have done that. Anyway, so -2 stamina. Of course, that might not have, the left side might have been worse. I don't know yet. And I go to 277. Okay. The tunnel takes a sharp right turn and then 100 meters ahead comes to a junction. Looking left, you see 2 bodies lying on the floor. You decide to go and investigate. Turn to 338. Okay, let's go there. 338. Investigate. The bodies are those of 2 orc guards. At least one of your rivals in the Trial of Champions must still be ahead of you. A quick search of the bodies produces nothing apart from a necklace of teeth hanging around the neck of one of the orcs. If you wish to wear the necklace yourself, turn to 123. If you rather set off north without a necklace, turn to 282. So we have 282 north or 123 necklace. I'll wear the necklace because I'm curious to find out what happens, even though it's probably not going to be a good thing. Or it is. The necklace is an amulet of strength. +1 skill. +1 stamina. Okay, and I needed that. So skill is now 11, stamina is 15. And I'll eat a meal actually, so it's 19. And my push provisions down to 8. And I go to 282. The tunnel soon ends at a junction. Standing there alone and wondering which way to go is one of your rivals. It is one of the barbarians. You call out to him, but at first he does not answer. Well, he's a barbarian, of course. He wouldn't speak your language, would he? He merely stares at you coldly, his hands firmly gripping his axe. You walk up to him and ask which way he is heading. He grunts his reply, saying that he is going west, and you may go with him if you wish. If you like to head... this is a bit weird, the picture, because if you look at that... let's see, I'll just focus this. Refocus now. It looks like he's wearing sunglasses. Yes. Instead of going west, and you may go with him if you wish. If you'd like to head west for the barbarian, turn to 22. If you'd rather decline his offer and head east alone, turn to 388. So either west with the barbarian or east alone. I don't know, is this the book trying to give me a hint that going west is going to be safer than going east? I'm going to go east, 388. Bye-bye, barbarian. Okay. A tunnel soon comes to a dead end. A piece of paper, brown and curled with age, is pinned to the end wall. If you wish to pull it off the wall to see whether there is a message written on it, turn to 23. If you'd rather hurry back down the tunnel to join the barbarian, turn to 154. Okay, or 23. 3. Read. return. I'm going to read it. The paper bears simple warning written in dried blood. Beware the trial masters. You replace the paper on its nail and run back down the tunnel to rejoin the barbarian. Turn to 154. So hint maybe. Okay. Running down the tunnel, you soon catch up with the barbarian and tell him that the eastern passage comes to a dead end. He nods his head in silent understanding and sets off towards the west with you at his side. So joining him is apparently inevitable in this case. That's fine. I suppose I'll have to kill him at some point. Although you are slightly uneasy in each other's company, knowing that there can only be one winner in the trial of champions, you are both content to share in the benefits of a temporary alliance. You begin to tell each other of your exploits so far, of the monsters and traps encountered and the dangers overcome. Walking along, you soon come to the edge of a wide pit. It is too deep and dark to see the bottom. The barbarian offers to lower you to the bottom with his rope, saying he has a torch which he can light for you to use. Will you accept the barbarian's offer to lower him down if he is so eager to investigate the pit, or suggest that you both jump over the pit instead? I'm going to accept his offer actually. See what happens. So we have pit. And so 63 get lowered. 184 lower barbarian, or 311 jump. So 63. You tie the rope around your waist and take hold of the lighted torch given to you by Throm, as your barbarian ally calls himself. Taking hold of the slack rope, Throm lowers you slowly over the edge of the pit and down into the dark depths below. You can see by the light of the torch that the sides of the pit are extremely smooth. You drop about 20 meters before hitting the bottom of the pit. There you see another tunnel heading north, and you call up to Throm and tell him of your discovery. He calls back saying that he is going to tie the rope around a protruding rock on the edge of the pit and will come down and join you. You hear him climbing down, and soon you are together again. Throm retrieves his rope by shaking it off the rock, and you set off north along the new tunnel. Turn to 194. Now see, that wouldn't have happened if you weren't being a little bit trusting, and so that's a sort of nice trust exercise really, isn't it? So just a bit more water. On a stone ledge in the tunnel wall, you see two dusty leather-bound books. Throm grunts his contempt for the written word, urging you to leave the books and hurry on. Will you open the red leather book, open the black leather book, or continue north along the tunnel? So, whenever there's two of something, one is good and the other is bad. If there's three of something, very often, well, it depends what it is, but sometimes two of them are good and one is bad, or it could be the other way around as well. But in this case, I can just assume that one of these books is going to give me some kind of curse. The other's going to be very helpful. So black or red books. And as usual, because it's an E. Livingston book, there are actually not any real hints as to which one you should be choosing. Well, maybe the hint is that you should leave them both alone, because that's what the barbarian tells you to. I'm going to read the red book, open the red book rather. It says open, not read. Might not be legible. As you open the book, it begins to disintegrate and the pages turn to dust in your hands. You manage to keep a few fragments and read the handwritten script. The book appears to be about monsters, and from what you can make out, it contains a full description of a monster called the Blood Beast. It is a horrific, bloated creature with tough, spiny skin and facial blisters which burst open to become mock eyes, evolved to hide the Blood Beast's only weak spot, its real eyes. Blood beasts usually dwell in pools of fetid slime which give off a poisonous gas. The gas is so strong that it can easily knock people unconscious. The blood beast, although too bulbous to haul itself out of its slime pool, has a long and vicious tongue which it wraps around its victims before it drags them into its pool. As the victim's flesh starts to decompose in the vile slime, the blood beast will feed from it. You tell Throm about the grotesque blood beast, but he merely shrugs his shoulders and tells you to get going. If you have not done so already, you may open the black book. Turn to 138, otherwise you must continue north with Throm. So, blood beast, that is the lovely creature that you see here on the on the cover, like so, and with all his eyes here. No, you would think that these big things are his actual eyes, wouldn't you? Or maybe these things. Anyway. Should I venture to open the black book as well, or should I leave it for now? You know what? I'm going to open the black book as well. So, it's going to be bad, isn't it? Yeah. The book's pages are sealed together, but a small hole has been cut out in the middle, so I'll just put hints there. Oh, that's the wrong one. Hint. There we are. Hint and yes. A small hole has been cut out in the middle of them, just large enough to hold a small corked bottle containing a clear liquid. You show it to Throm, who holds up his hand, indicating that he does not want you to come anywhere near him with it. His distrust of things unknown is strongly evident. Excuse me. Will you drink the liquid, rub the liquid into your wounds, or open the red book, or leave the bottle? Okay, so I've got I don't really have many wounds to heal right now. So 397, drink 75, rub. Leave the bottle and book and continue north. Okay, so I don't have any interest in getting healed right now. So, and drinking it, I suppose there is a possibility it brings me luck or skill. I would need luck if I could get it. I'll take my chances. I'll drink it. 397. The liquid is a magical potion which will enable you to detect hidden traps. Add 2 luck points. Oh, wow. That's exactly what I wanted. So, +2 luck. Okay, +2 luck. If you have not done so already, you may open the red book, otherwise continue north. Okay, so 3, 6, 9. The tunnel turns sharply to the right, continuing east as far as you can see. Throm stops and tells you to halt as well. He turns his head slowly from side to side, listening. I hear footsteps coming down the tunnel towards us, he whispers. Draw your sword. You both crouch down to hide in the shadows, and not a minute too soon. For a moment later, you see the silhouette of 2 armed figures approaching. Throm jumps up and dashes forward, screaming a loud battle cry. There are 2 cave trolls in front of you. Throm attacks the first one with his battle axe, and you run to his aid and attack the second cave troll. And that's quite powerful ones. Skill, 10 stamina, oh yeah. Right, so cave troll, 10, 11. I haven't really put proper sort of notices of the battles on my map now, which isn't very good. But never mind. So 200 and no, that's winning. Okay, so I've got 1119 at the moment, 1119, and this troll is 1011, which is potentially quite a close fight. So I've only got 1 skill point advantage now. So basically, the dice needs to be my friends for this one. So he rolls a 7, I roll a 10. He's down to 9 hit points. He rolls an 8, I roll a 3. I'm down to 17. He rolls 11, and I roll 8, so I'm down to 15. He rolls 6, I roll 6, so he's down to 7. He rolls a 5. I roll a 7. He's down to 5 hit points. He rolls a 5. I roll a 4. That's a draw. He rolls a 12. I roll a 12. Ooh. That was an epic combat round there. He's down to 3 hit points. He rolls a 7. I roll an 8. It's down to 1 hit point. And finally, maybe, he rolls an 8 and I roll a 5. So not quite finally, but almost, I hope. He rolls a 6. I roll a 7. And the troll is dead. Always a bit more exciting with the battles when you are a bit more closely matched. So 288 for the win there. 8-8 win. Okay. I presume he dispatched his opponent quite easily. You look to your left and see Throm standing over the cave troll he has slain. Blood is pouring out from a deep cut in his shoulder, but it does not seem to worry him. You search the bodies of the cave trolls, but find nothing apart from a bone ring and a leather cord hanging round the neck of one of them. The ring is engraved with a symbol which Throm recognizes. He explains that it must have belonged to druids of the north and that an ancient talisman such as this will increase your powers if your body is able to accept it. Throm will not touch it and advises you to leave it well alone. If you wish to put the ring on, turn to 64. If you would rather continue east, turn to 221. So, okay. If your body will accept it. Okay. No guts, no glory and all that stuff. I'm going to, let's see. So continue north, 221 and 221. Or ring 64. So I'm going to put the ring on. As soon as you put the ring on your finger, your whole body starts to shake. Roll 2 dice. If the total is the same as or less than your skill score, turn to 115. So we have 190 fail and 115 success. Okay, so my skill is now 11, so I do have a chance of failing this. Nope, that's a success. I am going to 115. See what happens. Your body continues to vibrate intensely and you feel as if you are about to pass out, but your strength is great and you manage to withstand the tremendous shock to your system. Finally, you calm down and begin to feel the ring's beneficial powers working on you. Add 3 stamina points, which I didn't really need. So I'm now up again to 20. 20. Yeah, just put that to second line there. You see Throm looking at you anxiously, so you reassure him that you are fully recovered. He strides off east and you follow him eagerly. Turn to 221. Okay, so only +3 stamina. That's a bit risky for +3 stamina, I think. So, not sure I would want to be doing that again unless my skill is 12 and I need the stamina points. The tunnel leads into a damp, high-ceilinged cavern with a rock-strewn floor. Long dripping teeth-like stalactites hang down threateningly, their constant dripping creating milky pools on the floor. The tunnel carries on through an archway carved in the shape of a demonic mouth. Just checking the battery now. My battery is getting low on my recorder, so, well, hopefully I'll be able to... the thing is, maybe I should do a backup by recording the sound on my camera as well. Okay. The tunnel carries on through an archway carved in the shape of a demonic mouth. If you wish to search the chamber, turn to 374. If you'd rather head straight for the archway, turn to 60. So we have... okay, so 374 or 60. So 60 archway or 374 search. I'm going to search, I suppose, first of all. You walk around the cavern but find nothing of interest. Throm calls out behind you, saying that he has found a leather pouch under a pile of rocks. Opening the pouch, he laughs out loud as a tiny mouse runs through his fingers and scurries off into a crevice between two boulders. Suddenly you hear the sound of cracking rock above you and look up to see stalactites breaking off the roof. Throm's booming laugh, which still echoes through the chamber, has made the stalactites vibrate and break off. You yell at Throm to run through the archway as the stalactites start to crash to the floor. Test your luck. If you're lucky, turn to 118. If you're unlucky, so I suppose that means that searching is actually a bad thing. Okay, so test luck, and so 118 is lucky, or 295 is unlucky. Okay, so testing luck, and my luck is at a ominously low 9. I roll a 10, so it goes down to 8, and I am unlucky, and I go to 295. Running towards the archway, you stumble over a rock and lose your footing. You land sprawled on the floor, and before you have time to get up again, a stalactite crashes down on top of you, its pointed tip piercing your leg. Lose 5 stamina points. That's quite a bit. I'm down to 15. If you're still alive, turn to 206. The stalactites continue to fall all around you, but let's see, minus 5 stamina and 206. Okay, 206. But you haven't enough strength to do more than crawl towards the archway. Suddenly you feel an arm around your waist picking you up and realize in your semi-conscious state that Throm is carrying you. He lays you down in the safety of the tunnel and tends your wounds. You decide to eat some of your provisions to help regain your strength, and you also give 1 portion to Throm in gratitude for his rescuing you. So, 2 provisions down. He apologizes for starting the rock fall and offers you his hand to shake. Despite the pain, you manage to smile and shake his hand. When you have finally recovered, you stand up and head east. So it doesn't say that the provisions don't have an effect, so I'm going to get 19 there. So 19 stamina from the provisions. Despite the pain, you manage to smile and shake his hand. When you have finally recovered, you stand up and head east, with Throm leading the way. Turn to 60. Okay, so this isn't very good, is it? Because it's like you're becoming friends now. That can't be good for the end, but there you go. The tunnel ends at a large oak door. Throm wastes no time in testing the handle and is somewhat surprised to find the door unlocked. He pushes it open and walks into a torchlit chamber. Sitting alone on an ornate chair is a dwarf. Or actually, this is a kerning error there. It says dwarf. The A is too far away from the W. So it's anyway. Who bids you enter the chamber? As you do so, the oak door swings shut behind you. Adventurers, you have done well to get this far, says the dwarf in a deep voice. However, as you both know, there can only be one winner of the Trial of Champions. Let's see, there's a notification on my phone there, nothing interesting. As trial master, it is my duty to Baron Succumbit to let only the most able continue. Therefore, I must devise a test of wits and strength to eliminate one of you. Please do not attempt to dispose of me. It would be utterly pointless, for as you can see, there is no obvious way out of this chamber, and only I know where the hidden exit lies. Now, if you would care to decide between you who will go first, I shall make the necessary preparations. So, what was it said about the trial masters in the earlier one? Let's see. Just checking what it said now. Beware the trial masters. That's all it said. Okay. There is no obvious way out of the chamber, and only I know where the hidden exit lies. You look at Throm, suddenly angry that your effective partnership might come to an end. He leans over and whispers in your ear that you should try to kill the dwarf and worry about the exit later. If you wish to join Throm in attacking the dwarf, turn to 179. If you'd rather persuade Throm to go through with the dwarf's test, turn to 365. Okay. So we've got 365 or 179. So 179 attack and test. Okay, so I don't know. I was given a little note saying do not trust the trial masters, and maybe if I don't trust the fact that he is pointless to attack, then maybe we'll just attack him and see what happens. Okay, so I'm going to attack the dwarf with Throm and go to 179. As you rush towards the dwarf, he pulls 2 hand darts from his belt and he throws them at you and Throm, hitting both of you in the leg. You're both instantly paralyzed by the poison on the tip of the dart. Lose 2 stamina points. Okay, that's not very good. Okay. As though glued to the floor, you can only watch as the dwarf retrieves his dart from your thigh. He asks you whether you are willing to enter his contest now. You strain to nod your head. Slowly, the effects of the poison wears off and mobility returns. The dwarf beckons you to follow him, telling Throm to wait his return. Okay, so attacking sounds like it might have been a bad idea, but yeah, I'll keep an open mind for now until I've tried the other option later. So he opens a secret door in the chamber wall and you follow him into a small circular room. He closes the door behind you and hands you 2 bone dice, telling you to throw them on the floor. You roll a 6 and a 2, a total of 8. The dwarf asks you to roll again, but this time you must predict the total. Will it be the same, or higher, or lower than 8? Okay, so it is most likely to be lower. And again, I don't trust him because he is playing with loaded dice maybe as well. So, right. So, also, how is this a scale of strength or wit? This is not a scale of strength or wit. It's a scale of luck, which, yeah. Anyway, 84. Let's see. 9 plus 290. So that's 2 to 7 and 1. 290. Oh, hang on. 290 was 8 and 191 was 2 to 7. Okay, so. Well, I'm just going to go with the odds now and say it's going to be less than 8, because otherwise it's not a test of wit. Roll 2 dice. If the total is less than 8, turn to 152. Okay, so now it's just luck really then. Okay. So roll 2d6. Okay, so 121, 8 plus 152, 2 to 7. Okay. I rolled 5. Okay. So 152. Yes, 152. The dwarf congratulates you for guessing correctly. It tells you that you must now progress to the second stage of the test. He reaches for a wicker basket and tells you that a snake is held within it. He tips up the basket and the snake drops onto the floor. It is a cobra, and it rears up in the air ready to strike. The dwarf tells you that he wishes to test your reactions. Bare-handed, you must grasp the cobra below its head, avoiding its deadly fangs. You crouch down onto on the floor, tensing yourself for the moment to seize it. Roll 2 dice. So this is a test of skill, and my skill is 11, not 12, luckily, because that would be a bit boring again now. So test skill. And of course, in this case, failure is a little bit more painful. Test skill, and so let's put success there. Success is 55, and 202 is fail. So 55. Okay, so I need to roll not 12, anything but 12. Rolled 11. That was close. Okay, so I'm going to 55. With lightning speed, you thrust your hand out and grip the cobra just below its open mouth. You lift it up and, arm outstretched, dangle it in front of the dwarf. He doesn't flinch, but says in his calm, expressionless way, "Please put the cobra back in the basket and prepare for the final part of the test. Follow me." You do what he says and follow him back into the chamber, where Throm is pacing up and down, obviously ill at ease. You wave to him while the dwarf opens a second secret door and tells you to walk on through and wait for him. Again, you comply, and you find yourself in another circular room, although this one resembles a small arena. The floor is covered with sand, and a small balcony runs around the arena wall. Opposite, the secret door by which you entered is an ominous-looking wooden door. Suddenly you hear a shout, and you look up to see the smiling dwarf standing on the balcony. He throws 2 pieces of paper down to you. On one of them, the words "No crop is" are written, on the other, "Ruin moat." In his ever-calm voice, he says, if you rearrange the letters of the words, you will find the names of 2 creatures. You may choose which one to fight in my arena of death. One is a scorpion, obviously. If you can identify the creature by rearranging the letters "No crop is," turn to 143. If you can't, so it's a scorpion or a minotaur, I suppose, a minotaur. You can identify the creature by rearranging the ruin mode, turn to 40. If you cannot identify either of the creatures, turn to 347. So what do I want to fight, a scorpion or a minotaur? I know a scorpion might not be as hard to beat as a minotaur, but it's poisonous. It's venomous. It might actually do some extra damage with the venom. So maybe the safer thing to do is to fight the minotaur. So I'm going to go with ruin mode and go to 40. So let's see, 55. So that's 3 options there. So I'm going to go 347, 40, 143, scorpion. So I'm going with the minotaur. You call out to the dwarf that you are ready to fight the minotaur. The wooden door rises slowly, and you see the fearsome beast, half man, half bull, step into the arena. Steam blows from its nostrils as it works itself up into a rage, ready to attack. Suddenly it rushes forward, swinging its double-headed axe. And it's got a skill of 9 and a stamina of 9, which isn't too bad for what I've got to fight it with. So I am currently at 11-17, and he's got 9-9. So I've got a 2 skill point advantage. So he rolls 7, I roll 9. He's down to 7 hit points. He rolls 9, I roll 9. So he's down to 5 hit points. He rolls 7, I roll 6. I'm still hitting him with those numbers. He rolls a 7, I roll an 8. He's down to a single hit point, and he rolls a 6. I roll an 11, and the minotaur is dead. And I win, and I go to 163. 3 win. Okay. The dwarf calls down from the balcony, congratulating you on your victory. He throws a sack down into the arena and tells you to relax and regain your strength for the final part of the test. Then he walks off, saying he'll return in about 10 minutes. You open the sack and find a jug of wine and a cooked chicken. If you wish to eat and drink the dwarf's offerings, turn to 363. If you'd rather just sit down and await his return, turn to 302. Well, I don't need to eat so much, do I? I might regain some strength, but then again, it might also be a trial of wits, whereby I'm supposed to not eat it, because if I eat it, I might get poisoned. I don't know. I will sit it out and await his return. So yes. So 363 eat, or 302 wait. So I'm just going to wait. After about 20 minutes, the dwarf reappears on the balcony. He calls down to you, saying, "Well, I do have an interesting problem on my hands. Prepare to fight your next opponent." The wooden door rises once again, and you are surprised to see a familiar face. It is Throm. He is cut and badly bruised and doesn't seem to recognize you. He is clearly delirious as he staggers forward with his axe raised to attack you. The dwarf laughs and says, "The cobra bit him, but he has the strength of an ox and managed to carry on, even though most men would have died. Now you must fight him to decide finally which of you will continue the trial of champions." You shout abuse at the dwarf, protesting against the cruelty of such a contest. Well, you did take part in it, so who are you to say anything? He merely laughs, and you have no option but to defend yourself against poor Throm. So he's got a skill of 10 and a stamina of 12. I'm at 11, 17, so this could be a really close fight here, and I suppose I wouldn't feel too bad losing to a friend. So one skill advantage as I go into this, and he rolls 9, I roll 5, so I'm down to 15 hit points. He rolls 6, I roll an 8, he's down to 10. He rolls a 5, I roll an 8, he's down to 8 hit points. He rolls 7, I roll 9, he's down to 6 hit points. He rolls 8, I roll 4, I lose 2 hit points. He rolls 6, I roll a 10, he's down to 4 hit points. He rolls 8, I roll 5, I've got 11 hit points left. He rolls a 9, I roll a 9, he's only got 2 left. He rolls 6 and I roll 8, and poor Throm is dead. Oh well. 379. Actually quite nice how the storyline here actually makes you feel that you became friends with Throm, even though it was just such a short time you spent together. So you sort of feel a bit sorry for him now, and almost a bit reluctant to want to attack him, which is really good when you think about it. So where are we now? 379. Yes. So 379. So fight. Well, it's completely linear up here now. 379. Okay. Exhausted by your long duel, you fall to your knees. As you stare at Throm's still body, a bitter loathing for the dwarf fills your heart. That's just part of the game. Somehow you will avenge Throm. Engulfed in your hatred, you do not notice the dwarf enter the arena until he is standing right in front of you, a loaded crossbow aimed at your chest. "I know what you are thinking," he says calmly, "but remember that only I know the way out of here. Get up, it's time for you to leave." Once on your feet, the dwarf indicates that you should walk ahead of him. Back in the chamber, he crosses over to the northern wall and pushes against one of its stones. A door-like section of the wall swings out, opening into another crystal-lit tunnel. With his crossbow still aimed at your chest, the dwarf smiles, saying, "Good luck." If you wish to walk straight into the tunnel, turn to 213. If you'd rather take a punch at the dwarf, turn to 145. Yeah, I'll just walk on, I think. 145. I think he wants me to punch him, doesn't he? So walk 213. The tunnel soon divides into two. I think I'll get on a third page for this thing. So 213. So this tunnel soon divides into two. You hear a buzzing sound coming from the western branch. If you wish to walk west to investigate who or what is making the noise, turn to 108. 8. Buzz. If you wish to walk, or we'd rather continue north, turn to 14. So we've got 14 there. 14 north. I'll investigate the buzzing sound, of course. Let's see what the buzz is about. There is a large panel of glass on the left-hand wall of the tunnel. Through it you can see a bright, torchlit room teeming with giant insects of every possible description. Bees, wasps, beetles, ticks, even the mites are over 6 centimeters long. The noise is threatening. In the middle of the room, a jeweled crown lies on top of a small table. What looks like a large diamond is set in the middle of the crown. Would you break the glass and try to snatch the crown? Continue west or return to the junction to head north. I don't know, it seems like these jewels, surely they must be good for something at some point. So I suppose I'll just have to try to break the glass and snatch the crown, even though it's going to be a bit risky and sounds quite hazardous to one's health. 394, and I forgot to use my I'll just use a ration now too. So I've got 30, 11, so I need 2 rations, and I'm up to 19 stamina before I do anything else. So 394, crown, or let's see, also 59, go west. So I put that up here actually, 59, go west, or return and go north. So I'm going to try to break the glass and see what happens. You smash the glass with the hilt of your sword, making a hole big enough to climb through. Immediately the giant insects start swarming and jumping towards you. Wasting no time, you clamber into the room, grabbing one of the lit torches to defend yourself. The fire keeps most of the insects at bay, but by the time you have snatched the crown and climbed back into the corridor, some will certainly have stung you. Roll 1 die and add 2 to the total. This is the number of stings you have suffered. I'm still rolling really well on those ones. So that's stamina minus 1d6 plus 2. So that's 3, so down to 16. And you must reduce your stamina by 1 for each sting. So I've been really lucky with all those rolled dice for getting damage ones here. I've rolled the minimum on all of them, pretty much. Giant insects do not chase you, preferring the bright light of the room they are in. You examine the crown and see with disgust that it is merely painted iron, and the diamond is just glass and totally worthless. You throw it on the ground in the rage and wonder which way to go next. So that means this is pointless. Okay. So if you head west, turn to 59. If you rather return and head north, turn to... So I can go there or there. I'm going west. No, I'm going north actually. I'm going north for a change. North. The tunnel leads into a dark chamber covered in thick cobwebs. Clawing your way through them, you trip over a wooden casket. If you should try to open the casket, turn to 157. Well, of course I'm going to open it. If you would rather continue north, turn to 310. So we got 310 north or 157 casket. The casket opens easily, and inside there is a black velvet bag containing a large pearl and 1 luck point. So my luck is now back to 9. I suppose I could also eat a ration, go up to 20, down to 3 rations. So, and I got now a pearl. After putting the pearl in your pocket, you press on through the cobwebs, turn to 310. So I got a pearl. Luck +1. Okay. You reach the far wall of the chamber and see 2 doors. If you wish to open the door to your left, turn to 339. If you wish to open the door to your right, so let's see, door to the left, door to the right. So 262, right, and 339 left. Let's see, are we still recording? Yes, we are. Left or right? I'm going to open the left door. As you touch the door handle, it goes soft in your hand, and when you try to pull your hand away, you find it is glued to the handle. A giant fist then forms in the center of the door panel and shoots forward, punching you in the stomach. Lose 1 stamina point. 19. If you have a jug of acid, turn to 303. So this is where that is used. Okay, so acid, question mark, and uh, 303, yes, or 236, no. So I do have acid, so yeah. That took a while before it was useful. So with a free hand, you reach into your backpack and take out the jug. Uncorking it with your teeth, you pour the acid over the door, which is in fact the fluid form of an imitator. A jet of smoke rises from it with a loud hissing sound as the acid immediately starts to burn the imitator. It melts rapidly and you are unable to step away unharmed. Having no other choice, you somewhat apprehensively turn the handle of the other door. So, right. So, well, maybe I don't. You only need the acid in that case if you are planning to open the wrong door. So, so it looks, because that's not, doesn't give you any advantage by the looks of it. So, 262. But such is the case with lots of the items you pick up, is that they are only useful for the wrong path in a way. The door opens into another tunnel running north. Ahead you see 2 stone fountains, one either side of the tunnel, carved in the shape of cherubs. Water spouts from their mouths and cascades into small bowls at their feet. Will you drink at the fountain on your left, drink at the fountain on your right, or continue your walk north? So clearly I'm going to drink at least one of these. 337 left and 368 north, 173 right. I'm going to drink at the fountain on the left. The cool water is refreshing but comes from a source which has been cursed by a hag. Add 1 stamina point and lose 2 luck points. Okay, so 7 and 20, but I got 1 stamina at least. So +1 stamina, -2 luck. So that doesn't sound like a good idea. Either drink from the other fountain. I'm going to drink from the other fountain too. Just get them out of the way. The cool water is refreshing and comes from the source which has been sprinkled with pixie dust. Add 1 stamina point and 2 skill points. So my skill is now up to 12. But my luck is a bit down, so that's not good. So +1 stamina and +2 skill. So this one you do not want to drink. This one. Continue north, 368. Excuse me. Leaning against the left-hand wall of the tunnel, you see a pair of bamboo stilts. They are securely chained, and you see a label attached to a padlock which reads, "The price of these stilts is 1 gold piece. Place the coin in the slot to release the lock. If you wish to buy the stilts, turn to 165. If you rather keep walking north, turn to 234. So it's a vending machine. Sort of. Right. I've got a gold piece, don't I? Yeah, I've got 2 gold pieces. There's not much gold in this one. I suppose the previous book, there was so much gold, there was the main thing being sort of sloshed around, but so stilt, so going north is 234, or buy stilts 165, stilts 1 gold piece. So I'm going to buy the stilts. And my gold is down to 1. So the slot in the padlock into which you place the coin. Immediately the lock clicks apart and you are able to unchain the stilts. Place them on your shoulder and once again set off north, turn to 234. Okay. A little farther on you come to a section of the tunnel which is covered with thick green slime. It looks threatening, so we decide to test it first with a piece of cloth. The slime's corrosive jelly burns the cloth instantly, leaving no trace. If you're carrying a pair of stilts, turn to 183. If you do not have them, turn to 207. Okay. So 183 stilts. 207. No stilts. Now, this came so quickly upon the other one that surely in the real world you would have gone back for the stilts, wouldn't you? But yeah. I'm carrying a pair of stilts, so still might be a bit hazardous walking past here though. You climb onto your stilts and take a few tentative steps across the floor. Your confidence grows and you soon feel able to tackle the walk across the slime. Smoke rises from the base of the stilts as the slime starts to burn them away. You plod stolidly on excuse me, and finally reach firm ground again. Unfortunately, the stilts are still covered in slime and you are forced to dump them. Fair enough. I didn't even write them on my sheet there. Setting off north, you come to a junction. If you wish to go west, turn to 386. If you wish to continue north, turn to 218. So we got 218 north or 386 west. I'm going to go west this time. You walk no more than 3 meters west before you hit an invisible barrier. It starts fizzing and crackling and you are thrown back. You have hit an energy screen. Lose 1 stamina point. Okay. So I'm down to 90. There is no alternative but to walk back to the junction and head north, turn to 218. So that's just a small trap, not a death trap. Small sort of Beano trick kind of trap almost. You soon arrive at the double door in the left-hand wall. You listen at the door but hear nothing. You try the handle, it turns and you open the left door slightly and peer through the crack. An armed warrior is lying face down on the floor of a bare room with smooth walls and a low ceiling. He is presumably dead, for he makes no movement even when you call out to him. A large jewel, perhaps a diamond, lies just beyond his outstretched arm. If you wish to enter the room and take the jewel, turn to 65. If you would rather continue north, turn to 252. So, I still have a theory the jewels are going to be important. So I am going to try to get it. So options are north 252 north, or I'll just do that on the side here now. 65 get diamond. So I'm going to go for the diamond and go to 65. Have you drunk a potion found inside a black leather book? I have. Black leather book. Question mark. And 372, no, or 345, yes. Okay. So reading can be good for you. You are about to enter the room when the potion of trap detection begins to work and you are filled with a terrible premonition of danger. The room is set with a deadly trap. You decide not to go in and continue north along the tunnel. That was close. Okay, so Deathtrap. There you go. The tunnel continues north for quite a distance before coming to a dead end. The mouth of a chute protrudes from the western wall, and it appears to be the only alternative to turning back. You decide to risk it and climb into the chute. You slide gently down and emerge into a room, landing on your back. Turn to 90. So we've got 90 down the chute. There we are. As soon as you stand up, you are confronted by the most repulsive sight you have ever laid eyes on. There in front of you, wallowing in a circular pool of fetid slime, is a bulbous creature too horrible to be believed. Its body is green and covered all over with fearsome-looking spikes. Its face is a mass of crimson blisters, and one of which suddenly bursts to reveal yet another of its many sinister, all-seeing eyes. A narrow path runs around the edge of the pool and leads into another tunnel in the far wall. If you have previously read details about the loathsome blood beast in a leather-bound book, turn to 172. See, reading is good for you. So, blood beast. Book, question mark. And I'm going to... so, 357. No, and I think I'm presuming now if I hadn't read the book that I'd really be in trouble. 172. Yes. So I have read the book, and yes. Remembering the description of the vile blood beast and the warning about toxic gas rising from its pool, you cover your mouth with your sleeve and step forward with your sword drawn. Wary of the blood beast's tongue As you step around the side of its pool, it rolls forward and flicks out its tongue, but you are ready for it and cleave it with one swipe of your sword. The beast howls in pain and stretches forward frantically, trying to clasp you between its blood-filled jaws. You start hacking at its hideous face in an attempt to pierce its real eyes. And it's got a skill of 12 and a stamina of 10, but it says as soon as you win your second attack round, turn to 278. So I presume that's when you might have been able to hit its eyes. So I'm currently back on 1219, and this one's got a 1210, so no skill advantage. And he rolls 4, I roll an 8. He's down to 8 hit points. He rolls an 8 and I roll an 8. That's a draw. He rolls an 8. I roll an 11 and he's down to 6. And that was my second attack round. And I am going to fight 278. Your blade strikes one of the blood beast's real eyes with devastating effect. It slumps back into its pool, thrashing about in a frenzy. You seize your opportunity and run around the side of the pool to the tunnel exit. Turn to 134. 134. Okay. The tunnel leads into a large room, its ceiling supported by several marble pillars. As you enter the room, you suddenly see a strange beast to your right. It has the body of a lion with dragon-like wings attached to it, but its head is like that of an old bearded man. If you have read the poem written on the skeleton warrior's parchment, turn to 222. See, reading again, good for you. See, this is the moral of the story right here. Reading is good for you. So parchment. Question mark. This is the Manticore, obviously. So 247. No. Or 222. Yes. It's actually quite a nice way of doing it, I think. I mean, leaving books for you to read, and not only do you have to sort of make choices based on it, but you're only given the choice if you have read it. Because sometimes when you do hints in books like this, you have to sort of still have to make your own decisions based on it. But I think it's nice because that means you can't really, well, you could cheat with it, but it would make you feel it would actually be cheating rather than and you can't just guess. You have to actually find the book, which is what feels right to do, I think. So 222. You recognize the beast. It is a manticore. Taking heed of the poem's warning, you watch out for its tail, which sprouts a profusion of sharp spikes, thick and hard as iron bolts at its tip. If you have a shield, turn to 196. Yeah, no, that's I was worried about that. So so no shield. 6 no, and 196 yes. So I'm not carrying a shield, so this could hurt. This could hurt. Knowing that the manticore will fire the spikes on its tail at you, run for cover behind one of the pillars. Before you reach it, a volley of spikes flies through the air, and one of them sinks into your arm. Lose 2 stamina points. Well, it could have been worse, I suppose. I mean, if it sinks into your arm, it could have been skill as well. If you're still alive, you waste no time and attack the manticore with your sword before it has time to unleash more of its deadly spikes. So, we have, I am on 1217. The manticore is 1111, quite a strong creature. Only 1 skill point advantage as I go into this battle, and he rolls 6. I roll a 12. He's down to 9. He rolls a 9. I roll an 8. That's a draw. He rolls an 8. I roll a 4. So that is 2 damage on me. He rolls a 7. I roll a 4. Another 2 damage. He rolls a 6. I roll a 10. He's down to 7. He rolls 11. I roll 6, and I'm down to 11 hit points. It could actually go really badly. He rolls 6. I roll 8. So he's down to 5. He rolls 2. Lovely. I roll 6. He's down to 3. He rolls 7. I roll 9. 1 point left. He rolls 5. I roll 8. And the manticore is dead. Okay. And I'm down to 11 hit points. And there we are. So, turn to 364. I think never in all my playing of Fighting Fantasy gamebooks has my stamina changed this much. I don't use erasers usually, you might have noticed. Not a big fan actually, I prefer doing it this way. But I need a lot more space to stamina, I think, on my character sheets. As you are wiping the manticore's blood from your sword, you are surprised to see a small man with a large nose suddenly jump out from behind one of the marble pillars. He is dressed in a tight-fitting green tunic and looks quite harmless, although you are wary of the way he is holding an opaque glass ball with a shimmering green light. "Greetings," he says cheerfully. "My name is Eggbert the Gnome, and I am the trial master for your final test." Is this the one I'm not supposed to trust? "Needless to say, my magical powers are great, so you should not try to attack me. You may have learned during your quest that gems play an essential part in the trial of champions." Well, I haven't really learned it. I just sort of figured it out. "The iron door in front of you is the victory exit, but there is only one way of opening it. 3 gems have to be put into the lock mechanism in a particular order for the door to open. Each gem radiates a unique energy which will trigger the mechanism. If you do it correctly, that is. I will help you to a degree, but first we need the correct gems. Have you an emerald?" I do have an emerald. So So let's see. So fight, and then we have 3, 6, 4, and emerald first of all. So I'm putting there. So 31. Yes, and 3. No. So I do have an emerald. That's a good start. The gnome smiles and says, "Good. Now have you a sapphire in your possession?" Ah, yes. I think we have reached a snag. Sapphire. 376. Yes. Or 3. No, I do not have a sapphire, do I? I do have the. Let's see. I forgot to put them on the. I got topaz from the skull. I got a pearl. Got a emerald, but I don't have. Oh, I put this topaz there. Okay, but I don't have a sapphire, do I? Unless there was one on the dagger I picked up. Did it say anything about gems on the dagger? That's a good question, actually. Hang on. Where did I find the dagger? Where did I find the dagger? Okay. Just checking now. Opal. Okay, so it says that the dagger had opals on it, so I suppose dagger with opal. So yeah, so it had gems, but not sapphire. Okay, so that's a no then. The gnome shakes his head and says, "I am afraid you have failed the trial of champions. Baron Suckhumvit's Deathtrap dungeon will keep its secrets for another year, as you will not be allowed to leave here. You are appointed my servant for the rest of your days to prepare and modify the dungeon for future contestants." That sounds like a cool job, though. "Perhaps in another life you will succeed." And so we reach the end of the story again, but I do feel I've actually got quite a long way closer to solving this now, because of course, some of these battles are really hard, and you do need, there's no way you can do this with low skill at all. And I found, well, the emerald obviously, but I don't know what else I'll need in terms of gems at the end. So I only need I need a sapphire that I haven't got yet, but I know lots of things that I shouldn't do. I've made some red marks here on my map. I know lots of things I should do probably to get where I'm going. So yeah, it's I think I've made quite good headway today in terms of trying to help me find the right path through this book, and I'll try again next time, which probably will be next week. So yeah. So that's it for today. Trial of Champions. Not Trial of Champions. Deathtrap Dungeon Trial of Champions is the name of the it is called the Trial of Champions, but there's a book called Trial of Champions, which is the sequel to Deathtrap Dungeon, of course. So not to mix them up. So yeah, it'll be exciting to see what happens next time. This was quite a much longer episode than the previous one. I managed to die once, of course, so this is my third run technically. The second one was a complete failure. So I'll see what happens on my fourth run next time, and I'll probably have to make sure that I get good skill and, well, particular skill. Luck I might be able to manage without so much. It doesn't seem as important as skill in this one. So any low skill I would probably have to re-roll it next time. So there you go. Thanks for watching. Thanks for your patience if you have watched this all the way through, and I hope you enjoyed it. I certainly enjoyed my playthrough now. And I hope to see you next time with more fighting fantasy fun as I play my 4th run of Deathtrap Dungeon. So goodbye for now. Bye bye.